Hail and good health to you all. It is myself, Jonathan, also known as the PC Genie. Today I'll be talking about a more personal sort of subject, but don't worry, I'm not gonna bore you with all of that. Oh, it's so personal and the crocodile tears and all of that nonsense. Just, I mean personal in terms of you'll learn a bit more about me, and hopefully maybe enjoy it along the way. So, basically, someone requested in the comments that I sort of do an armour suit up type of thing, and I thought, I mean, I don't have a complete set of armour and I don't have the kit underneath, so I thought might as well do what I have got, but maybe in the meantime talk about something else. Now, as you will have figured from the title, that is sort of about myself. It is my Asperger syndrome. So, just a quick note, I was going to include this as well, which is my Gamberson, but bluntly this is actually my second take, so I'm sort of repeating myself a bit. This crappy thing, I think you're just supposed to wear it on its own. Way too thick, nothing would, well, just the male shirt would fit on top of it, and that was it. And everything else, it was just stupidly difficult to do anything. In fact, just wearing this, I can hardly move. I'm gonna review it later at some point when I get around to it and find out the exact model that is of Gamberson, since there are quite a few. But anyway, so yes, let's get cracking. So we should probably start chronologically, so from the beginning. And basically, what sort of started was when I was quite young, probably only about 3 or 4 at the time. I was noticeably different, perhaps weird, you could say, very legitimately. And the problem was, I wasn't, well, this might seem ironic to some of you guys, seeing how incessantly I talk now, but I really didn't talk back then. So, while other kids were learning language, I could certainly understand it, but I'd barely say a word at all. I might sort of gesture at something, like say, if I wanted a drink, maybe I'd gesture at the glass and that sort of thing, which obviously is not going to be helpful because you're still left guessing, it's not proper communication, it's not going to help in the future. So, I think it was in the order, bearing in mind it's a long time ago, so I have to remember, or sort of going from what my mum's told me. Basically, I sort of had a diagnosis done. I don't think they were 100% sure beforehand what it was going to, even an idea of what it was going to be, just that something was different and probably should be discovered in order to help me learn and grow and whatnot. So, to see someone who's a pediatrician or something like that, someone who'd be expert enough on children and their psychology, yay! And thus they came to the conclusion and have officially diagnosed that I had a mild form of autism, which is known as Asperger syndrome. I think most of you will probably have known what it is, well, have heard of it, but it's kind of a bit like a situation with understanding people like Muslims, where you've heard of them, but perhaps don't fully understand, or a situation like that. So, I can enlighten you on that point. And basically, essentially it seems you get a package deal. You get some things which might be stereotypical, you could say, then other aspects which are actually not and defy the sort of, what's his name, Dustin Hoffman or some actor like that who was in Rain Man, types of ideas people get about people on the autistic spectrum. So, in terms of my particular package deal I've got, I'm certainly not introverted. Maybe that's become obvious enough by now, doing all this YouTube marketing and seeking the limelight like there's no tomorrow, but just to make it clear. But yeah, there seems to be a stereotype that people on the autistic spectrum are usually introverts and don't want to seek human contact or do anything in society, whereas I do. I quite like, being trying to become famous or just generally, interacting in social situations. If I don't at times, that is because it's difficult to do so, and that's part of the package deal that I do get. The main problem that I've had previously was quite a strong degree of literality. So I'll give you one silly example. When I was a kid, my mum was sort of, saying the usual kind of love you child, all that sort of nonsense. And she was trying to say is, I love you so much I could give you a kiss on the forehead and whatever, forever, all that. But what she said was, oh, I love you so much I could eat you. I cried because I thought, well, I wasn't scared and all that, but because I didn't really know how gory it is to be eaten. But I just thought it's not very nice if someone wants to cook you and serve you as dinner. That's not a nice thing, is it? So I cried. I thought, that's horrible. Why does someone want to turn me into some kind of meal? Like my first ever encounter of cannibalism. But obvious is not what she meant. But the problem is, it also works both ways. So, as much as, sometimes I have, and even now, sometimes misunderstand people for what they're saying, and take it perhaps too literally or misunderstand them, it can also happen when I'm explaining something, and I mean something very directly and literally, but they sort of worm out weird other reasons, or other meanings instead. This might sound confusing, so I'll give you a core example that was from in my college days. Right, so this particular girl, I didn't have any particular positive or negative opinions of her, just sort of the type of friend I call a long-term acquaintance, the sort of person who, you don't feel anything against. You've known them for a bit of time, but you don't feel strongly about them in any particular sense. But, excuse me, don't ask me why, I still do not know to this day, but she walked up to me and asked me directly, so bearing in mind this wasn't some kind of off-the-hand comment I made, I was directly asked the question, do I look like a prostitute in this? So, gave it a quick once-over and looked. Very sort of skimpy clothing. I think this was autumn time or spring. It certainly wasn't, really hot weather. And really short, trousers or short shorts or some kind of short skirt or something. And I thought, people are going to see a bit too much if you're walking upstairs and really low cut top and all the kind of stuff that would perfectly sit a somewhat stereotypical opinion of someone. So I said, she asked the question, do I look like a prostitute in these clothes? Analysing, yes, I said. Suddenly, whoa! You're calling me a prostitute? No. So it went to the teachers, and they were there. Oh, he's saying I was a prostitute. What is it called? It's horrible. And then the teacher goes, what's going on, Johnny? Said, well, she said, does she look like a prostitute in those clothes? And in those clothes, she does look like a prostitute. So I said, yes. Luckily, the teacher understood and went, well, Johnny, next time, be careful what you say, and all that kind of stuff, that sort of advice. Yes, you can see that sort of, in those exact words, I meant, those clothes do make you look like that, not, I think that of you. So, yes, with moments like that, I have, occasionally, a good few times, rubbed people the wrong way by accident. Now, you might sort of think, I'm discussing sort of certain negative things, and in terms of positive things in my life, I've noticed I've become somewhat more logical, and actually occasionally, although a bit paranoid sometimes with people not exactly being that trustworthy, things like I offered sweets to a class of people once, and one for everyone, including the people I didn't like, because I thought might as well treat everyone fairly. Come PE lesson, they go, oh, miss, can I go to the toilet? And then go over and steal all of my sweets instead. Those sorts of moments, and being bullied a lot, like I think I mentioned, that was on the first take, it means that I was also a bit paranoid. So, it means I have, although it might seem, this is another potential irony, although I am a Christian, a Protestant Christian to be more exact, I am, at times, well, a lot of times, somewhat skeptical. So someone theorizes anything, or someone tries to explain things to me, or even tries to convince me, certain things about certain people, I'm usually quite reserved. And again, that could tie into this Asperger syndrome, because I sort of try to analyze things logically. So if someone goes, this particular person is really nasty, don't talk to them or do anything. And I think, I don't have any information to go on, I need to research this. Which was good, and it has been positive at times, because I'll give you one example. I won't say any people's names, but there was a girl on the bus, which was on the way to actually college, same sort of years, and she was saying, there's a person over there, he's not a nice sort, don't talk to him, kind of thing. Now, I ignored her advice, and decided to judge for myself, and talked to him, and what do you know? He was one of the people that actually helped me get introduced to historical European martial arts. And thus, I think that there could be an alternative timeline, if there were such things maybe, I don't know, where perhaps I did listen to this girl's advice, and then never talked to this person, never found out about the real medieval fighting arts that I've so wanted to learn for such a long time in my life, and then either be delayed by quite a number of years, or maybe never find out at all. Scary-ish. But yes, so again, in that sort of sense, it counts as a positive and a negative factor. Now, in conclusion, if someone asks, well, I've heard people are trying to do this and that and the other to try and treat Asperger syndrome and other forms of autism, someone might ask, if there was a cure, something that could basically turn me into someone who's completely normal, as they call neurotypical, without any form of autism or Asperger's at all, would I take that cure, or, synthesis, whatever, that would change me into a normal person? No, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Obviously, with different people, they have different experiences. You'll have some people who are very eagerly wanting to be, normal, and so they can interact with society. They perhaps might be, what's the word? Not introverts, extroverts like myself, who want to interact more with society and make more friends and find romance and that sort of thing. So understandably, a lot of those individuals would say yes, if they could be turned normal and fit in, great, they'd take it straight away. But for me personally, I take it from the angle that the best way to explain it to someone who's more normal, it'd be a bit like if you met someone and maybe you're getting to know them and they were getting to know you, and they suddenly turned around to you and said, "Oh, your personality," and you go, "Yeah, my personality, well, what about it?" They go, "Is there a cure for that?" Get lost, I'd say, or it's that kind of thing where I know, of course, there are advantages and disadvantages, but that's it, it's a balance, for me at least anyway, luckily, and I've found that, you don't have to completely revert yourself into a normal person to learn things. So I've been able to learn to talk, been able to, interact with society, be more functional, even though I'm not perfect, and there are still areas I can improve. It's good enough that I think, I can pass by. I've got a job, in fact. I'm on my second job now after a couple of years in a call centre. I'm now doing sort of reception, admin and security in a place, and, it's all good. So, again, although there are people less functional, it seems like there are things you can do to help, to provide assistance in people's weak areas. But you don't necessarily have to completely neutralise their, autism or Asperger syndrome. You don't have to. So in that case, why would you? That's my opinion anyway. Because again, I feel like if someone had wanted to cure me with something that would turn me into a normal person, it would probably undo a lot of the positive factors as well as the negative. And that, to me, is not a good thing, because essentially I wouldn't be me anymore. I mean, this probably begs various existential questions and whatnot, but, you know, I'm Jonathan, and I'm, you know, also known as the PC Genie. One of the things that happens in, you know, those sorts of forms of autism is you develop a sort of specialist interest. Well, you can kind of guess what my specialist interest is. You know, historical warfare and combat. And in a way, that's been a good thing. You know, I want to maybe become the next Mike Loads type of character or someone like that. And you know, it's a specialist subject. It's an area of interest. I can become more knowledgeable in that area. And while I'm learning things and doing things that would be normally quite boring to some people, I can be quite thoroughly enjoying it. Even if, you know, I find a lot of other areas like cars and football and the rest quite boring. So I don't fit in as well at those times when I'm not drinking booze and not much and not, you know, doing football or cars or all the rest. And, you know, a lot of men seem to not really understand me or interact with me that well. But yes, it's all good enough as far as I'm concerned. You know, I mean, it's one of those things in society. Sorry, I know I'm rambling a bit. I'll try to wrap it up now. I mean, another way to look at it is, I don't know how many of you have heard, probably not many, but there is a theory. It's called Belbin's theory of team roles. So it's sort of like, you know, if you're in a group of people, what sort of role you might fulfill. You've got examples like the plant, who is someone who normally, as the name comes from, being planted in from the outside, someone who comes up with new ideas and can think outside the box and innovate. And then you'd have someone who's a team worker, sort of the glue, making sure everyone sticks together and is sort of a diplomatic type of person. Now, you get certain traits which are more common. Like, I noticed that among more neurotypical people, very commonly, in fact I did this in a class in business studies, most of them, either as their primary or secondary attribute, were team worker, who are the people that are good at keeping their team together, being quite friendly, gluing it all up, being diplomatic, that sort of stuff. But that's it. So you'd have a team who pretty much love each other, you know, who could work so well, but that's it. Whereas in my particular case, I had the trait of monitor evaluator. Now that, so those who don't know, basically that's the role where you are someone who sort of judges. You look at ideas, maybe you're discussing things, and that's, you know, looking at ideas, and I'm the sort of critical thinker who look at all the pros and cons of the ideas given, and I'd come to a conclusion. I think anyone can do that, but the point is, it's almost like a perfect, like the example of justice. You know, we've got blind justice and that sort of thing, with the picture of the woman with the scales and a sword with the blindfold on. It's that kind of idea. Because I noticed in a lot of cases, if you've got arguments and stuff like that going on, people pick their friends. You know, even if that person's wrong, they'll sort of try to defend them against, you know, what the other person's trying to say, to sort of back them up. And that's something that's more neurotypical. Whereas with me, doesn't matter if you're my friend, best friend, or my greatest enemy, I'll see something and see the merits, and I see, oh, that's the best of the ideas, and tell you that. So again, in summary, for reasons like that and other which go even more complex, there are advantages to having people like me in society, but there are also advantages to people who are normal. And that's all, you know, it's all the ingredients of a nice society. If you just have everyone cardboard cutouts of each other, normal, it won't be very functional. If everyone was like me, it probably wouldn't be very functional either, because they'd be lacking the normal people's attributes, and we'd be the new normal, trying to find the, you know, the weird people who are quite good at keeping people together, you know? So, again, that's my view. Please, comment below and tell me what you think. Or any of you on the scale? Do any of you sort of, you know, do any of you have relatives or people you know with autism or Asperger syndrome? And just, what do you think of me as a person? I'm honestly, I'd be quite interested to know, as long as you didn't go into insults and that sort of stuff, just, you know, a more sort of neutral type of thing. Just explaining what you found interesting or different about me. Be interesting to know. And yeah, thanks for listening to my little ramble. See you later.